As part of the Omnibus Housing Finance and Policy Bill, our Senator Draheim's committee cut $2 million from the Challenge program and removed a rider under the program of $1.208 million per year for housing projects that are specifically for our American Indian communities. That rider has been constant since 2012, and despite the increasing costs, the Challenge program Challenge program, $7 million in fiscal year 12 to $12.9 million, and fiscal year 19 the same. It has not increased for this program at all. And what it does, in this bill, what it does, it leaves out or it removes loans to our American Indian communities. And those loans can establish revolving loan fund and make eligible loans pursuant to Subdivision 4B to our American Indians, and it also has left out loans to urban American Indians. What it did in the past is it would expand monies for a purpose of Section 462A.7, and that includes the establishment of a revolving loan fund for programs for urban American Indians, and may pay the costs and expenses necessary to incidentals to the development and operation of those programs. And I want you to understand, members, how important these fundings are for our American Indian communities, especially in the urban area. I'm not sure that many of you know about the Indian Relocation Act. It's also known as Public Law 959, or the Adult Vocational Training Program. It's a United States law that was intended to encourage American Indians to leave the reservations. After our country pushed them onto reservations, then they decided, no, that's not so great. We want them to leave their reservations now. And they wanted them to leave their traditional lands and assimilate to the general population in our urban areas. So now, most of our American Indians live in cities, and they are still trying to adjust to urban life as a group. And our Native American Indians face a 27% poverty rate. And they're still trying to reverse some of those long-lasting effects of federal policies that have put them in a disadvantage for hundreds and hundreds of years. So this Indian Relocation Act of 1956 was the impetus for relocation of a large number of Native Americans who are now living in our urban lands. And it's not just our Anishinaabe and our Lakota, Dakota folks that are in our urban lands, but we are home to hundreds of different tribal members. And through that act, it didn't force them to leave their reservations, but it really made it hard for our Native folks to stay on their traditional lands. And they did that by dissolving federal recognition of most tribes and ending federal funding for reservation schools and hospitals and basic services, along with the jobs that were created. The federal program, this relocation program, promised to pay for relocation expenses to the cities and provide some vocational training for urban Native Americans, but they face, even to this day, the largest level of job discrimination, and there are often very few opportunities for job advancement. And we know about the substandard housing and no efforts to support them in this area. One thing that I think most of us can agree, home ownership is the path to generational wealth. When I have my home and I have my home paid off and I pass from this world, that wealth is going to go to my family. But that has not happened for our Native American folks for different reasons. Not having the money to do it, not having a job that would support a home, and when they do get loans, the loans are in ways that are discouraging or high interest. And so as a result of all of that, Minnesota has become, or Minneapolis has become a home to a tight-knit Native American community, with the majority of Minnesotans, large Ojibwe and Lakota tribes relocating to the Twin Cities. So with that, I would like to propose this amendment, this A3 amendment, that would put back into this omnibus, into statute, an amount of $1,280,000. It's $1,208,000 each year, and make that available during the first 11 months of the year exclusively for housing projects for our American Indians. Any of those funds not committed to housing projects for our American Indians in the first 11 months of the fiscal year shall be available for any eligible activity under Minnesota statutes. And so with that, I would like to ask for a green vote to reintroduce or put back into this omnibus that very, very vital funding for our American Indian communities.